Good afternoon, good people. It is Wednesday, May the 24th, 2023. It is the 2 p.m. newscast, Royal Afternoon Edition, coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM. Ali Stories. 30 women kidnapped in the Northwest region has been released. The Northwest region members of mothers of Big Babanki have been released from as sources identified. But how do Cameroonians look at the kidnap of these 30 women?
Every day we are hearing about kidnapping, killing, every day, but they keep on promising that everything will be better.
And still to come in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast, we take you to Lompanga, where the hydroelectrical dam in Lompanga begin producing electricity. We'll get more in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast. And in sport, join Evatus Nduye with our Wednesday Sport Fire, in which we are going to talk football, rugby, as well as food stars. Stay tuned for this and more. Good afternoon once again. My name is Abel Bela Samari. We will open our news to talk about the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO, to tell you that less than 46 days to the celebration of Act 3 of the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO at the Yaoundé Multipurpose Sports Complex, the population of the West region are queuing up at the Bafoussam agency of Renapo Finance SA for registration into the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity. Landrine Donat Chagam is the director of the Bafoussam Renapo Finance SA agency. He had this to say on the microphone of our reporter Bertrand Bois.
Renapo Finance SA agence Bafoussam.
The Bafoussam agency of Renapo Finance SA faring well. The workers are very busy offering the different services to clients, as you can notice. Concerning the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO Act 3 in Bafoussam, I would like to tell you it is moving very well. It is true that certain mutualists are retarding to complete their contribution of 26,000 francs into MASO Classic. Others have completed theirs. You know, we have two types of MASO Classic and MASO Gold, and I want to use this opportunity to call on the population of Bafoussam and its environs to register massively into the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MASO, so that together we can celebrate African solidarity.
Au soir du 9 juillet 2023.
And still in the same light, in prelude to the celebration of World Menstrual Hygiene Day, the Mahmoud Hospital Complex is organizing an open door learning workshop where young girls and women still will be taught on how to make sanitary pads and a schooling chat with the latter on the menstrual and sexuality of girls as from May the 30th to the 31st of the year 2023. In line with this, our reporter Christian Mando corner a whole person in the person of Vole Clarice, who explained what is menstrual hygiene and how it is done. Take a listen to her report.
The hair expert Vule Clarice starts by defining what menstrual hygiene is all about.
Menstrual hygiene is defined as a woman and adolescent girls using a clean menstrual management material to absorb or collect blood that can be changed in privacy as often as necessary for the duration of menstruation period, using soap and water for washing the body.
The woman has to be educated on the different ways of practicing menstrual hygiene, according to the health expert, who goes further to talk of its importance and types.
Good menstrual hygiene practice can prevent infections, reduce odor, and help you stay comfortable during your period. You may choose many types of menstrual hygiene to absorb or collect blood during period include sanitary pad, tampons, menstrual cups, and period underwears.
Vule Clarice concludes by explaining what the woman should or not do during a menstrual period.
A woman should not use one sanitary pad for the whole day, and even those that use towel during this menstrual cycle should wash the towel well and iron to prevent accumulation of bacteria.
Worth noting that maintaining menstrual hygiene is a step toward better health, this as it permits a woman to have a healthy health.
Christian Mando in that report. Away from talk about the mutual assistance and solidarity, we stay in health to say that the World Health Organization says child obesity is one of the most action being taken in the European Union to tackle the growing problem of child obesity on the continent, where studies showed that 29% of children aged 7 to 9 years were found living within overweight. Though they are not official statistics on the situation of childhood obesity in Cameroon, actions are being taken at different levels to guarantee healthy lifetime with the objective of promoting the well-being of everyone at all ages. But just what is obesity and how can it be prevented? That is a question Dr. Kwe Roland, who is a medical doctor, try to answer.
Obesity is a medical condition, sometimes considered as a disease in which excess body fat has accumulated to such an extent that it may become harmful to one's health. You are considered obese when your body mass index, that is the ratio between your weight and the square of your height, is superior or equal to 30 kilograms per meter square. Obesity is a major risk factor for some health conditions like cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and so on. The main treatment of obesity consists of weight loss, which implies certain lifestyle intervention like a balanced diet and regular physical exercises.
Dr. Kwe Roland talking there. We take you to talk about the Anglophone crisis, to tell you that latest report do make mention of the fact that the 30 women kidnapped in the Northwest region has been released. In the Northwest, the mothers of Big Babanki have all been released according to several local sources. The 30 women beaten and kidnapped by a separatist group in the locality of Kejonkeku last weekend. Many of them need medical attention. And in that light, I report Evans Jobati Williams equally caught up with some Cameroonians to get their reaction concerning the kidnapping of these 30 women over there in the Northwest region. Take a listen to what he has to say.
For some time now, the Northwest and Southwest regions seem to have been silent when it came to case of Anglophone crisis. But with the recent kidnap of these elderly women in the Big Babanki areas has pushed some Cameroonians to voice out their worries. Moving along the central town, we had difficulties obtaining citizens who could talk on this issue as they all shy away from it. But patriotic citizens like Cedric's open up to us willingly.
The government is not really serious on the crisis. They are not serious because every day we are hearing about kidnapping, killing, every day, but they keep on promising that everything will be better. So as for me, I think that the fault falls back on the government, because if the government decides to stop something, they will be able to stop it. I think there is something going wrong behind.
Adding that resolving this crisis will not be an easy task, calls on the government to really take this crisis seriously, as many have already lost their lives.
It's not an easy task to stop crisis because there are so many civilians have been killed, that have died. There are innocent bloods that have been lying. It will not be easy at all. So as for me, the government has to be implicated very seriously. They have to sweat for it. It's either the government uses a harsh way or they have to use a simple way like dialogue. They have to be sincere in their dialogue.
Mr. Cedric proposes that more should be done to develop these two zones in order to ease the conflict resolution, as he says.
Like proposing them something, building back their structures to convince the population that no, everything will be alright, and dialogue. Because if the government does not want to dialogue, they have to use the harsh way and they have to use it very radically.
As such, he is hopeful that all this havoc will end one day.
Evans William Jobati in that report. Before the release of the 30 mothers of Big Babanki, the senior divisional officer of MESAM in the Northwest region has called on the population of that area to remain calm as defense and security forces were currently on the field searching for the release of these women. The senior divisional officer Simon made the call through a press release where he revealed that on May the 20th, 2023, over 30 30 women were severely tortured and kidnapped by heavily armed terrorists in Kejomkeku village in the Chuba subdivision, Mezab division of the Northwest region. This was followed by a peaceful march protest organized the previous day by the elderly women commonly called the Takumba. Finwe Crispin caught up with a geostrategist who in the following report give an analysis of the situation.
According to the SDO's press release, the women organized this peaceful march protest to put an end to the atrocities and criminal activities of separatists against the population of that village, a move Alemkem Richard terms as manipulative.
There seems to be a hidden hand somewhere. There must be some manipulation within it, and it requires further investigation because it is a little bit complicated to understand that those who live in a crisis zone should decide at one moment to do the way the women were about to do. I, as a geostrategist, I doubt that type of comportment in a war zone. What I see is that I can quickly raise an accusing finger on some people in the cupboard trying to manipulate those women.
Generally, in crisis-triggered area, vigilante groups or auto-defense teams are formed in collaboration with the population to track down terrorists, but the geostrategists attest that these groups don't really matter.
People of goodwill, people of free intelligence must be able to impact on a campaign of sensitization to demonstrate the limit of the crisis on the side of the government, the limit of the crisis on the side of the separatists, and the limit of the crisis on the side of the people, and then to fetch a new way out. There cannot be any meaningful development in a place when the heritage of the people has been destroyed.
Alemkem Richard further suggests that experts in conflict resolution should be involved so as to rapidly curb the crisis.
I think at this moment what is important is that there should be a feel of understanding. People involved in maybe conflict resolutions, people who understand what the future means. You know, he who trains you owns you. If you know this proverb, that means the system of education in which you are trained absolutely give you the mentality that you are going to have in society. I think if we are bringing up children with guns and the rest, we should be prepared to have war throughout our lives and be prepared to have a land where no people will live in.
What's recalling that the kidnapping of these women just comes to join several cases already recorded since the outbreak of the Anglophone crisis.
Finwe Crispin in that report before the release of the 30 murder from Big Babanki in Kejomkeku of the Northwest region. Civil society activists have been asking the reason why the levy of 5,000 francs CFA was asked to be paid by these women to the separatist movement. This incident has raised the concern of civil society activists who says implementing human rights action still poses a problem in Cameroon. A reporter Jementa captured their view and now reports.
The abduction of several women in Big Babanki is described by many civil society activists as a gross violation of human rights law. Ateki Seta Caxton is one of them.
I think that the non-respect of human rights in the case of this conflict is just maybe as a result of the ignorance of what the law says. I think this kidnap and is a violation of Article 27, Chapter 4 of the 4th Geneva Convention on the protection of civilians, particularly women and children in times of conflict. So this is outrageous and it's not something that is supposed to be applauded.
The women were not only kidnapped for not paying the tax levied on them, but some were shot on the legs by these separatist fighters. Barbaric action vehemently condemned by this human rights activist Nicoline Waze.
This proves how impunity has become the order of the day within these communities, because this is not the first time that this is happening. And when you go back to our local traditions and customs, this is a sacrilege. Attacking the Takambang is a sacrilege, and which has never been committed. It's not supposed to be committed. So I sum it up into ignorance, impunity, and sacrilege.
And as a human rights activist, Everton Gemaye has this suggestion to make for days ahead.
In a difficult environment and you hold a meeting, even if you are holding the meeting for the national interest, you must make sure that the local authority are informed so that they should take measures to protect you.
Notwithstanding these, human rights activists uphold that concrete action needs to be done in a bid to cease all these atrocities in the Northwest region.
Jementa ending that report in which 30 Takumbe that were kidnapped in the village of Big Babanki, precisely in the locality of Kejom Keko, and the letter of information hold that these 30 women were beaten, kidnapped by a separatist group in the locality. They have been released and they need medical attention. You are listening to Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. newscast coming to you from Royal 88.4 FM. Still to come in this edition of our 2 p.m. newscast, we talk electricity and we'll find out the situation of electricity in Cameroon as the Lompanga Hydro Dam ready to produce electricity for the consumption of Cameroonians.
After commissioning the first unit of power plant of Lompanga, we are on the way to commission the low voltage. Before end of June, the second turbine will be commissioned.
We take you to education to say thousands of final year pupils in the Anglophone subsystem of education will has today begin the practical phase in sport for the 2023 session of the first school leaving certificate examination. The practical which started yesterday, candidates were involved in exercise in the domain of agriculture. The written phase of the first school leaving certificate examination is scheduled for the 6th and the 7th of June 2023. The sum of about 75 million francs CFA has been disbursed to start construction work at the site to emark to the host of the University of Garoua. The governor of the North Region, Jean Abate Edi, accompanied by the Chancellor of the University and the Inspector General at the Ministry of Higher Education, towards the site to inspect the work done so far. The governor of the Northwest, the North Region, spoke on to the state media on the construction of the University of Garoua.
Is one of the main pillars in the North region. So I'm here with the rector and different collaborators to put in place this important recommendation.
And to equally say that the first CEMAC Entrepreneurial Forum opens in Yaoundé today with CEMAC top officials and stakeholders who will be brainstorming on strategies to ease the production costs of local producer in the CEMAC zone. In this light, our reporter Jementa sought to know from an economist, Polycarp Chenwitala, what is needed to ameliorate the production costs in the CEMAC sub-region.
The CEMAC sub-region is taking the center stage on industrialization because that's the greatest way through which the economy of these regions can grow. Meaning that the production of this region, the economies are struggling to double in the production of goods and services in this region. The prices, the existing prices of goods and services are not encouraging, especially the prices of raw materials. Raw materials play a major role in the production process. It is the major determinant of the cost of production, the prices of raw materials. Therefore, if cost of production is to be managed, then prices of raw materials have to be managed. So the CEMAC authority, especially the economic authorities, they have a greater role to play in managing the cost of raw materials, and automatically they will be managing the cost of production, and consequentially they will also be managing the cost of the finished product. So if the cost of raw materials are reduced, therefore there are going to be a reduction in the cost of production, and as a result there's going to be a reduction in the prices of these goods and services in the market, and there's going to be a reduction in inflation as well. So the cost of production has to be ameliorated because it plays a center stage right down in touching the final consumer in every economy of the sub-region, be it in Cameroon, Gabon, Chad, Central Africa, Equatorial Guinea, and all the 6 countries of the CEMAC sub-region.
To this other news, the new resident representative of the United Nations Development Programme in Cameroon, Aliou Mamadou Da, says the UNDP will work in strong collaboration with the government of Cameroon to attain the objective of the Millennium Development Goal, which will greatly impact the social development standards of Cameroonians. Take a listen to him speak.
Development goals. Cameroon has made significant progress on some of the 17 goals, and what we will do is to sustain that, to support them to move forward. One of the programs that we are currently implementing is called the Recovery Program, the PPRD, in the Northwest Southwest region. And that program is absolutely important to bring back development in that part of the country. So UNDP is fully engaged with the government for the implementation of that program. We have also talked about the Far North region, the stabilization program that UNDP is currently implementing. We have talked about many other initiatives that we are currently working on: youth employment, gender equality, decentralization, which is absolutely important. The work that we are currently doing, also engaging the private sector, the work we are doing on financing for development. I mean, those are very important projects and programs that we are working with. We will continue working with the government for the attainment of the objectives.
The promise made by the General Manager of the Electricity Development Corporation, Dr. Theodore Sadgu, that the month of May will see the Lompanga hydroelectric power plant supply electricity has been realized. He made this declaration during a working session to the site yesterday. Take a listen to him speak.
After commissioning the first unit of power plant of Lompanga, we are on the way to commission the low voltage to electrify 150 villages in the East region. I think that before end of December, a lot of villages from the East region will be connected to the hydroelectric plant of Lompanga. I confirm, surely, before end of June, the second turbine will be commissioned.
Road traffic is steadily becoming a call for concern in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Yaoundé city dwellers keep complaining of the difficulties they face on a daily basis when it comes to moving from one end of the city to another. But what exactly can explain the increase in road traffic, and are there better ways to curb this phenomenon? That is a question our own Finwe Crispin put to Defoe Collins, who happens to be a president of one of the transporters trade union in Cameroon. Take a listen to him speak.
In Yaoundé today, we have too much traffic jam, and this because of the routes who are not good. So when there are holes in the routes, it's not possible to taxi drivers to go very fast. It's obliged to drive slowly, and at that moment, vehicle comes at the same point at the same moment. Secondly, we have the problem that at the morning time or at the time that people are going to work, there are no police to try to regulate the traffic. You see, so we want policemen to be there very early in the morning or be there in the afternoon. Since there is a problem of the roads, it's very important that these roads should be constructed so to allow drivers to drive very fast.
Out of the country, first up in Namibia, where the Namibian health authorities have confirmed the outbreak of the Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever following the death of a patient in the eastern town of Gobabis last week. Lab tests confirmed that the male patient died from the viral illness. The Ministry of Health and Social Services said in a statement, 27 contacts, including 24 health workers, have been identified. Over in Senegal, Senegalese prosecutor is now calling for a 10-year jail term against the opposition leader Ousmane Sonko on a rape case that has sparked tension in the West African country. Highly popular amongst young people, Sonko has branded the trial a political plot aimed at sculling him from not participating in the 2024 presidential election in Senegal. The trial was adjourned early Wednesday, with a decision expected to be handed down on June the 1st, according to the president of the criminal court, after the late hearing lasted in the early hours of Wednesday. Still out of the country, we tell you that the U.S. has distanced itself from incursion into Russia, which Moscow says ended the defeat of armed insurgents who enter from Ukraine. Parts of the border region of Belgorod comes under attack on Monday in one of the latest cross-border raids since Russia's invasion in neighboring Ukraine last year. Still out of the country, Rod DeSantis has launched his bid for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination and is widely predicted to become the main rival of former President Donald Trump, who endorsed Mr. DeSantis' successfully 2018 campaign for Florida governor. We'll come back to talk sport. And in sport, athletes and staff of the Cameroon Sambo team are expected to be in the country today after their brilliant participation in the George ended African Sambo Championship in Casablanca, Morocco. Coach Michel Takam and 10 fighters who won a total of 9 medals in the competition and ended second on the general classification will be behind host country Morocco, will be back today. Still in sport, preparation for the 19th edition of the International Cycling Tour of Cameroon are hotting up, with athletes from European and some African countries expected in Cameroon in the days ahead. 10 teams from 2 athletic cups in Cameroon have been shortlisted for the competition. The president of the Cameroon Cycling Federation, Honore Yossi, is in Garoua to fine-tune preparation for the kickoff of the tour due to be given in Fadja in the north region of Cameroon. An evaluation meeting and a session with the Southwest football stakeholder is expected to take place in the days ahead to discuss on how to better improve the game at different levels in the region. The meeting will be chaired by the 4th Vice President of the Cameroon Football Federation, Harry Jalakwan Jr. The June 3rd gathering is expected to have in attendance registered regional FACO League clubs and executives as well as the media. On to futsal, the two of the National Futsal Championship have been played at the Fandina Gymnasium and recorded the following results. In the women category, the Littoral region defeated the Northwest region girls by 6-3. The West region humbled Southwest region girls by 3-1. And in the men's category, the Northwest region edged the East 4-3. On the part of the Adamawa, they trashed the Extreme North by 7-2, while the Littoral region were defeated by the North by 7-0. The South bowed to the Southwest 4-1. The West played a 4-2 game against Extreme North, which ended in favor of the West region. At the Central region, where they trashed in a very difficult game, they played against North 2-1. At the end of that game, we caught up with one of the players from the Central region who began by easing that the game was not an easy one at all.
I'm Kigadinga Unowe from Semence Olympique. The match was very difficult because we have lost the match. We play against a good team, Gazelle of Garoua. It was a very, very good match and strong match. It's an experience we have brought today, and I hope that the next match we will.
We actually saw that people had enough chances to score, but it was not evident.
Yeah, you know, it's football. It's football. We have many occasions and we miss them, but it's football.
What are you going to capitalize on in order to play the next match?
I told you that we are focused for the next round of competition. We are going to arrange we are errors, and we hope that we will win all the 2 matches, because we need to win the match to end second. We need to win the match, and the next match is again East, so that we will try our best. We will do all our best to win the match, because we want to win Cameroon Cup now. For the first place for we is all thing is over, but we are looking for the second place now.
In the meantime, the 3 matches of the tournament took steam since this morning with 10 teams on board. We'll still come back as I welcome Eratus Nduye in the studio. Good afternoon to you, Eratus.
Good afternoon, Ebebela Samadi.
Eratus, less than 4 days to the end of the Women's Super League. Leke Football Field a doorstep closer to be crowned champion of this year's season after defeating AS Awal by 4-1 in their Day 18 match of the tournament yesterday. In the report, you say that Eratus Nduye, you present the details of the other matches.
With just 4 countdown matches to the end of this Women's Super League, the girls of coach Stefan Zana are poised in clinching this year's title after chopping up points from 9 places different team AS Awa, who count 17 points on a tally in a game which ended 4-1. On her part, relegation threatened Kaimang of Yaoundé Fie couldn't match up with heavyweight AS with despite their technicality to earn her a 2 goals victory over Kaiman side. The match, a clear of Sa and Authentic Ladies, produced lots of tension from both sides, which finally earned her 3 goals to 2 in favor of the Sa contingent. That led them closer to the pool leaders Likie with 38 points counting. Meanwhile, the highly anticipated Guinea-Siko for the day saw the heading side losing all 3 points to the Forces d'Armée de Police (FAP) in a game which ended 3-0, while Mbu Confidence managed to save herself her second women's Guinea-Siko title for the season, and the match Louf Minprof and Gando FFA has been taken to June 6, 2023.
Thank you very much, Eratus Nduye. From you, as you unseat yourself, let's welcome Grégoire Ntama, who is here with the summary of this newscast in the French language. Good afternoon to you, Grégoire.
Bon après-midi et belle Samari. Les 30 femmes d'une société secrète dans le village qui est Djoum dans la Mezam région du nord-ouest enlevées par les séparatistes samedi dernier sont libres. Leur libération a été confirmée cet après-midi par le préfet du département de la Mezam qui indique qu'elles présentent quelques signes de fatigue et ont été placées dans un hôpital où elles suivent des soins. On rappelle, ces 30 mamans manifestaient le 19 mai dernier pour dénoncer des actes séparatistes dans le nord-ouest. Mutuelle d'assistance et de solidarité, la cérémonie officielle de l'acte 3 du 9 juillet prochain se prépare, une effervescence des préparatifs qui gagne en intensité